everybody, V here, and this is the second video in the Cecil Hotel video series. This video is all about Elisa Lam, the missing college student that was discovered deceased at the Cecil Hotel in 2013. Now, Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old college student from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. She was born on April 30th, 1991, and was the daughter of immigrants from Hong Kong, and was raised in Canada by her mother Yina and her father David. Elisa had one sister, Sarah, whom she was very close with and shared interest in fashion. Elisa Lam was a student at the University Hill Secondary and the University of British Columbia. She suffered with bipolar type 1, which had the potential to cause severe depression, feelings of euphoria or extreme irritability, trouble sleeping, episodes of mania, and even psychotic breaks. Because of this disease, Elisa was on several medications that helped with her symptoms. Because of the stress associated with college, Elisa wanted to take a vacation on her own where she could, in a sense, find herself. After persuading her parents to allow her to travel on her own, she planned a trip to California and booked her stay at the Stay on Main Hotel, which was previously called the Cecil Hotel. Her parents' only requirement was that she would call them every day to check in, and of course, Elisa agreed. On January 26, 2013, Elisa Lam checked into the hotel, which was located in Los Angeles, right next to the eerie and dangerous area known as Skid Row. Originally, Elisa was put into a shared room on the 5th floor with several roommates, but her roommates complained about Elisa to the front desk, stating that Elisa was exhibiting odd behavior and was disturbing them. Because of this, Elisa was moved to a room of her own 2 days later. On February 1st, the day that Elisa was scheduled to check out of the hotel and leave for Santa Cruz, Elisa's parents did not hear from her. After checking with the hotel to see if she was in her room, the hotel notified her parents that she was not there, but that she had left her belongings behind. Her parents then decided to call the Los Angeles Police Department to report her missing. They then flew to California to aid in the search for their missing daughter. When Elisa did not check out by the designated time, her room was opened by hotel staff and her belongings were removed and bagged up, as this was a common practice for the hotel when guests accidentally left belongings behind. The belongings would be kept for up to 30 days after the guests had checked out. The manager of a local bookstore called The Last Bookstore, who had seen and spoken with Elisa, stated that she was a very nice young woman. Katie Orphan stated that, quote, Elisa was very outgoing and very, very friendly. She was getting gifts to take home to her family. She was talking about what book she was getting and whether or not what she was getting would be too heavy for her to carry around as she traveled, unquote. An extensive search was conducted at the Cecil Hotel and every nook and cranny was searched. The police even used search dogs to locate Elisa's scent, which led them to a window that led out to a fire escape ladder, but unfortunately the scent ended there. On February 6th, a week after Elisa went missing, the LAPD decided they needed more help from the public in finding the missing girl, and decided to post images of Elisa all over the neighborhood as well as online. On February 15th, the LAPD released a video of the last known sighting of Elisa Lam, which took place in the Cecil Hotel's elevator. The 4-minute video depicted Elisa moving in and out of the elevator, acting very strange as she made unusual gestures with her arms and hands and acted like she was conversing with another person. In the video, Elisa steps into the elevator and proceeds to push every button in the center line on the elevator panel. One very strange thing that occurred in the video, aside from what Elisa Lam was doing, was that the elevator door stayed open for the whole 4 minutes that Elisa was there, which is very unusual since Elisa is seen pushing a bunch of floor buttons on the panel, which should have caused the elevator door to close. This video has been extensively analyzed by many. The video was eventually posted on a Chinese video sharing site called Youku, and it received more than 3 million views and 40,000 comments in its first 10 days. The video was very unsettling for most who watched it, while others immediately wanted to figure out what had happened to Elisa. Web sleuths went nuts over this case, and many people became obsessed. Following the disappearance of Elisa Lam, guests who were staying at the hotel started to complain about water pressure issues and also how the water looked discolored and tasted weird. Then on the morning of February 19th, the hotel sent up their maintenance man to check out the water tanks to see if there was a leak or an issue with one of them. When the maintenance man reached where the water tanks were located on the roof, he noticed that one of the hatches of a water tank was open. He peered inside the tank and discovered the deceased body of Elisa Lam floating in the water. The police were immediately called, and the water tanks were drained, and then the side was cut open in order for the police to be able to remove Elisa's body from the tank. On February 21st, the Los Angeles Coroner's Office issued a finding of accidental drowning with bipolar disorder as a significant factor. The full report was released that June, and it stated that, quote, Lam's body had been found naked. Clothing similar to what she was wearing in the elevator video was floating in the water, coated with a sand-like particulate, unquote. Her watch and her room key were also found with her body. Elisa's body was moderately decomposed and bloated from being in the water for so long. Her body was a greenish color with some marbling evident on her abdomen, and there was some skin separation. There had been no evidence of physical trauma, sexual assault, or suicide, and Elisa's toxicology results showed that she had medications in her system that was consistent with the medications that were found with her belongings from the hotel. However, it was mentioned that the level of the drugs found in her system were at a much lower level than they should have been had she been taking the correct dosages of her medications. While the coroner believed that Elisa died from accidental drowning caused by a psychotic break, they did not offer any explanation as to how she had gotten into the water tank. The doors and the stairs that led to the roof of the hotel were locked with passcodes and alarms that only hotel staff were able to open. The only available entry to the roof would have been the window that the search dogs were alerted to earlier. This window led to a fire escape ladder that led to the roof, and this would have been the only way that Elisa could have bypassed the security measures that were in place to keep guests off the roof. Aside from being able to get onto the roof, people questioned how she was able to climb into the tank itself, as all 4 of the water tanks were over 8 feet tall. There was not a fixed access to the water tanks, and hotel workers would have to use a ladder to look into the tanks if they needed to be maintained. The water tanks were also protected by heavy lids that were very difficult to move. Because search dogs had searched the roof earlier, people theorized that Elisa's body had been moved from an unknown location to the water tank after the police had finished their search. Web sleuths also theorized that the hotel elevator video had been messed with, as the timestamp at the bottom of the video was unreadable and the video seems to have been cut in several places. Web sleuths also noted that in the elevator video, at the bottom left-hand corner, you can clearly see what looks like the tip of someone else's foot. And they suggested that someone else was with Elisa that day, and that person may be responsible for her disappearance and subsequent death. Another area of the investigation that has been vastly criticized is that the autopsy report does not state what the results of the rape kit and the fingernail kit were, or if they were even processed at all. Elisa Lam's parents later filed a wrongful death suit against the Cecil Hotel, stating that they failed to inspect and find hazards in the hotel that presented risk of danger to hotel guests. The hotel argued that they would not have been able to reasonably foresee that Elisa would have entered the water tanks, since it has remained unknown how she actually got into the water tanks in the first place. And in 2015, this lawsuit was dismissed by a judge. Another weird yet unconnected conspiracy related to Elisa Lam's death is the 2005 movie Dark Water, in which a young girl and her mother move into a dilapidated apartment complex which consistently leaks dark-colored water throughout the whole movie. In the end, the mother discovers that a young girl her daughter's age had died in the water tanks of the apartment complex when she found her way to the roof and climbed into one of the tanks and drowned. Many believe that while this movie was made 8 years previous to Lisa's death, this may have been a precursor to what would happen to Elisa. The Cecil Hotel closed their doors in 2017. My theory on what might have occurred here is that I think that there is a pretty good chance that based on Elisa's medical condition and the severity of it, it is highly likely that she did have an episode and may have not realized what she was doing when she found herself on the hotel's roof. She might have been so confused by the psychotic break that she did not even realize that she was climbing into a water tank. And then once inside, she probably was not able to get back out, either because of her mental condition or because she was too tired to tread water and she ended up drowning. It is definitely a very sad and disturbing story, and I think that the hotel should have been held accountable for not working at trying to get Elisa some help once they started getting complaints from her roommates about her medical condition. If they had at least called her parents or had called a hospital, she might have lived and none of this would have happened. But as always, they did not want to step in and do something for someone else, which is very, very sad. Well guys, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this video or in the least learned something new about this story. This is a very sad and disturbing story that has gone unsolved for the last 7 years. Did Elisa run into someone who wanted to hurt her and this resulted in her being murdered? Or did she just end up having a psychotic break resulting in her accidentally drowning herself? I hope that one day this mystery is solved and that Elisa's parents will at least get some comfort in knowing the truth behind their daughter's death. As always, I really appreciate you watching my videos and supporting me. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and if you want to see more videos like this one, please hit the like button. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!